Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Peace Talks. This is a series where we catch up with the bands and artists that are coming to play for us at the Mars Bar in Worcester. And today I'm joined by the guys from Sungrass. Hi guys.
Hello.
We'll go left to right as I'm looking at you. So I think it's George on the left. Oh yeah, there we go. It's camera mirrors, that's it. Yeah. So do you want to just introduce yourselves?
I'm George. I'm on drums.
I'm Matt, I'm on trumpet.
I'm Ollie on the bass guitar.
And I'm Lucian, I play keys.
Fantastic. So yeah, I think this is the first time that we've actually had a full band in on the Zoom interview. So that's pretty cool. Thanks for joining us. And I think you're actually in for you're all together for a rehearsal today, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. That's good. Should getting everything perfect for our for our gig. You got a few dates actually lined up, haven't you?
Yeah, so we're playing in Devon as well, and then we've got one Bristol gig. So we've called it a tour, but you know.
That sounds good to me. More than one
Yeah.
more than one gig. It is a tour. Fantastic. So yeah, I've not anyone who's watching that may have been around following us back in 2023, I think it was. Looking up at my wall, we had Limu come up from Bristol. So this is a band we've got here, Sungrass, from Bristol. Well, they met in Bristol. And Matt, you were on trumpet with Limu, so we've heard you back then.
Yeah.
And so delighted to have you back on the stage. We do a loyalty card now. It's a virtual loyalty card. You'll get two stamps on the Music Spoken Here card.
Yeah.
That's, you have to get 5 and you get a T-shirt. I keep moving it up actually because some people have got to 5. So
No, looking forward to coming back. Yeah, it was a great gig the last time, so yeah, looking forward to it.
Cool, good stuff. So yeah, let's. I don't know if one of you want to be the sort of main spokesperson for questions, and you can sort of dive in or whatever. But yeah, do you want to just sort of talk about how the band got together first of all, I suppose, and kind of where you all met?
Yeah, sure. We all studied at Bristol University, minus the keys player Lucian, who I'll get onto. But we formed as a 4. We all did music, music on the side in Bristol, and sort of get involved in the jazz scene. And we were just good friends, so we wanted to get together and see if we could write some music. And do our own kind of project, and then we wrote enough music where we thought, okay, let's try and show this to some people, throw in some covers of stuff that we liked. What kind of things did we cover?
Chameleon.
Yeah, well, Chameleon.
Some
Ezra Collective and
Yeah. So
yeah, hard road.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, mixing that with our original music, and then kind of just grew from there. And we're just trying to get as much original stuff as possible. Hopefully one day, I don't know, write an EP or album or something, and keep going with it. But yeah, so we had a different keys player before a couple of years ago, and so he left, and then we had another person who was also great, but didn't really work for us. So now we found our man Lucian, but it means that now we're sort of split half and half in Bristol and London, because these guys are based in London. I mean, sort of based in Bristol. So yeah, it's nice because we've got a nice spread, and it's not too far away, Bristol and London.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. And so sort of musically, each of you have you all sort of jumped into it at a similar sort of age? Is there and I suppose actually let's start with you, Matt, on the trumpet. So did you sort of start on trumpet? and has it was always been that, or was it?
I actually started on violin when I was quite young, sort of when I
Okay.
was about 5 or something ago. My mum's a violinist, but then I discovered the trumpet, and it was just way more fun. You could make fart sounds from it when you're younger. So there was no looking back after that. So then I switched to the trumpet, and it worked out to be a good move because I much prefer it. But yeah, and then went to Bristol Uni and I met these guys, and I studied economics and politics there, but did loads of music on the side. And then I was like, I'd like to study music further, so went to the Guildhall School of Music, and that's where I met Lucian.
Right. Okay. Cool. So let's go. You then, Lucian.
Yeah.
Where did it sort of start for you?
Well, I was playing piano from a young age, from when people normally start like 6 or something, you know. And I actually played classical flute as well. And so I did my classical grades, and by the time I got to my grade 8, I was getting a bit sick of it.
Jazz flute.
And yeah, I know, I should have. And at the same time, I actually started playing jazz guitar, funnily enough.
Okay.
I was super into Joe Pass and like Pat Metheny and Jim Hall and stuff like that. But I listened to too much Joe Pass, and I got really annoyed. I got so frustrated, and I was like, that's it. Why don't I just try it out on the piano instead? So then that's how I started playing it on like jazz on the piano. So only really started doing that when I was about 18 or so.
Right.
And I did a music undergrad in King's here in London, and I did classical flute for 2 to 3 years. And then in the last year, I was like, you know what? I'm just kind of sick of it. So I was going into a practice room to practice classical flute, and it was just playing jazz tunes on the piano. So then the last year, I asked if I could change to jazz piano, so I changed to jazz piano, and then went on to do a postgrad in Guildhall, and that's where I met Mr. Matthew Hill.
But what was it sort of turned you off the classical? You getting fed up with it? What was it? And the piano training?
I mean, I still really like classical music, and I still listen to classical music. I think it was just the way that, I mean, for me, like jazz is really about community and interplay, and there's obviously a lot of community and a lot of interplay in classical music, but in the scene where I was brought up in classical music, like on the piano when I was younger, I mean, everyone has this where you're practicing for grades and you're just practicing by yourself, and then the one time you get to perform them is to like a terrified examiner. And then when I was doing the flute, it was just like I auditioned for the uni orchestra, but there were like 2 flutes in the orchestra, so I didn't get in.
Oh,
so I was just practicing scales in the room every day, and I was just at a certain stage I was just like, what even is this? You know, like, so funnily, I still occasionally play jazz flute when I'm teaching jazz piano students.
Okay.
Because I have them comp for me, which is quite funny. But I don't think it's of the level to be whipped out in a Sungrass gig, so I don't worry. Don't worry.
Bring it along. We had Eddie Parker with his Airborne band up in December last year. So he had a range of flutes along with the keyboards that he was playing. So
that's class.
Yeah, bring one along. Give it a go. And then so Ollie, what about yourself?
So I'm mainly a guitarist, a jazz guitarist. Got into jazz. I did all classical grades and on guitar, and then obviously played lots of rock as a teenager. And it was sort of the classic story, you know, there was always bands that, you know, there was never enough bassists, so, you know, people in school were asking me to play a bit of bass. So I kind of picked it up from, you know, early teenager. I was like, this is just a big guitar, really. But it's not. It's definitely not. Don't let any basses in that one.
No bass players here to defend themselves.
But anyway, so and then kind of was just playing both side by side. But I would say guitar is my main instrument. And then when these guys were sort of thinking about starting this band, they were like, oh, you know, we really need a bass player. And they asked me to play. I was like, I don't play bass. I'm not a bass player. Well, yeah, it's fine because, you know, we're all friends. I think the main thing was just because we're mates. You know, we wanted to just have a good time. And then since then, I've a couple of years ago, then I've really sort of been getting used to it and kind of practicing and shedding and not treating it as just for the bass players, not treating it as just a big guitar and actually treating it as their own instrument. And it's amazing, it's opened up a whole world of musicality, and playing bass. Generally just playing bass. But I have a lot of fun with it. Just a completely different world. But mainly a guitarist. But yeah,
cool.
play a lot of bass. Yeah.
For the record, when I first started playing with you guys, I think it was I went 3 gigs without realizing that you weren't a principal study bass player. I had no idea. At some point you were like, oh yeah, I wrote this on guitar, and I was like, oh, you play guitar, and then you turn around and you were like, yeah, that's mostly what I do. And I was like, oh right.
That's grand. And George, how about yourself?
My musical origin story is interesting. My dad's played in bands for years, not professionally, but just as a hobby. He's a guitarist and singer and plays a bit of keys. And there was a drummer in his original band when I was growing up. This is like age 4 or 5, and he sadly passed away due to cancer. Right. And I basically inherited all of his gear, and I'd started coming in like age 4 or 5 and like hitting drums out of curiosity. My dad was sort of like, yeah, you're kind of doing this in time, maybe you should get some lessons. So I ended up being very lucky to inherit all this gear, and I started lessons when I was 7, and the rest is history basically. But yeah.
Cool. And has it been, have you sort of focused on any particular style to start with? Did you get into jazz fairly early?
So I guess the first thing I was doing was, learning the ropes, and I was playing gigs with my dad's band when I was sort of 11 or 12, but obviously the standard I was playing at was way, way lower than anything I was doing through secondary. But it was mainly rock stuff to start off with, kind of like folk rock is the genre of my dad's band. So I got into that, and then I remember it was a day I was home from school. I was off sick from school, and I discovered this drumming website, and lo and behold, it was a lesson from Snarky Puppy drummer Lionel Lewis.
Oh wow.
But basically I got into jazz through that and started going down the rabbit hole of Snarky Puppy and all this fusion and into jazz. The rest, that's basically how it went.
Excellent. That's cool stuff. So yeah, the band itself and the music. So you've got an EP out. Sorry, no, you got the single came out in November, didn't it? Intention. It's funny. I was listening. I love the flugelhorn. And there's a couple of. So we had Brian Corbett's instrumental groove unit. They came out and played in. That was December 24. Crikey. I think I said it was in December, but as December a year ago. I've seen that band a few times. But there's another band. I was listening to Intention, and there was a band that I saw play a few times. I got their album from I think it was like 1990, called System X. There's a band that was headed up by the bassist Phil Mulford. That's is from the London scene. I used to play at the Bull's Head in Barnes, and probably still do actually. That place down there quite a bit. But yeah, I love that sort of tone on that, and it sounded that track sounded very similar to some of the stuff on that. I think they only ever did one album, System X. But if you ever get a chance, I don't know if it's online. I've got a CD copy that's ripped to my vinyl, my iTunes, but I might give you the MP3. It's some cool stuff. I think it's something that's quite similar to some of the stuff I've heard you guys play, but I've only ever heard you on videos and stuff. So little clippings. So So do you want to sort of describe the music that you'll be playing for us?
Yeah. Well, just so you've heard Intention, and I guess the intention there was to kind of whenever we play that song, we always say, oh, yeah, we're going to play a bit of a soft one or a slower one, because it's got quite a nice intro, then kind of builds up. So and you get into the solo section, then next thing you know, you're really going for it. Well, anyway, certainly on the rhythm section, so I think generally, a mix of that kind of thing. We like we sort of describe ourselves as sort of heartfelt melodies. And mixing with kind of blistering energy when it comes to improvisation and soloing. So it's a big mix of stuff, and we're still kind of experimenting with sounds. We're a lot of the stuff we wrote before was with previous keys players. So we're trying to experiment with kind of new sounds, continue on from what we had before, obviously with a different writing voice. Because when we write, we kind of say it's pretty much even when we write stuff. So we tend to not come in with an idea. We'll all meet it, like that's what we're going to try and do today as well. And just basically see what happens. Someone might have like a melody in their voice notes from 3 months ago or something, and then bring that in and try and put it together. But yeah, and I'd say that's how we describe it, is melodic, but exciting, if you have to kind of sum it up. But it's difficult. Sometimes it's difficult to describe your own music. But
I think it's kind of fusion. I mean, I always think bands are driven quite heavily by the rhythm section, but as a rhythm section player, I think within that structure, I think the drummer has quite a big driving force in the style. So I think quite a lot of the stuff that you're doing, George, kind of drives the style, and it feels, for the period that I've been a part of it, it feels like it's quite like kind of a fusion funk. Definitely Snarky Puppy makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of drive, but then very, very melodic as well. You can get some stuff that is more rhythmic based, but I think we have a focus on, we all value a strong, heartfelt, as you say, melody.
Yeah. I think the goal for us is always to try and make things accessible quite a lot of the time. The solo sections can be fairly, withdrawn and quite complex, but I think we always want that like driving melody or theme to be like in people's heads after they've heard the song, right?
Yeah, and danceable as well.
Yeah.
The groove.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. So one question I'd like to ask, because we've had quite well throughout the whole program, we had quite a few younger bands come on, and you're going to be like the third in a row. So we had Ancora. God, dear, I'm forgetting names. I'm getting old. Ancora was the first in the series of 3, and that was a all-female band from London. And then we had Abacus, just came up last week, from guys from Birmingham. They all met sort of through the Birmingham Conservatoire, and then you guys from Bristol. But just kind of want to get your thoughts on kind of working as a musician in the current times. Here we are, a quarter of a way, starting the second quarter of the 21st century, and things are changing at a massive pace. Even over just the last 5 years. I mean, actually, Music Spoken has been going 4 years in May, and even in that time, things are sort of rapidly changing. What's kind of your thoughts on maybe for thoughts for kids that are coming into music at an earlier age, from school and stuff, and thinking, where do I go with it? What can I do with it? And kind of what are the challenges, but what are also the opportunities that you've got now, perhaps that you didn't have, or you might not have had, a couple of decades ago. Any thoughts on those?
I'd probably say I found it quite important to be quite versatile. Like as a gigging musician, you can end up playing in so many different genres and styles. And even though sort of this jazz funk stuff is like my bread and butter, I guess, what I really enjoy, I end up doing gigs in all kinds of genres, like rock bands and New Orleans bands and sort of older swing stuff, and then big bands, and even still try and keep in my classical chops as well, because if you can be versatile, then you're a lot more employable as a musician. And obviously some people have their niche that they really focus on, and that's great, but I think as like a sort of gigging musician, it's quite important to be versatile. And then also I guess one thing that's changed is with technology. There's this whole thing about like bedroom producers now, and you can. So I've got like a recording set up in my house, and I can do horn tracks for people, and send them online. So that's a whole kind of thing. The way that music is getting recorded and produced has sort of changed quite a lot in the last 10 years or so. So being like open to that technology, get yourself a microphone and just try and learn how to use Adore, like the music software, and just go out and experiment and see if you enjoy creating music in that way.
Yeah, I think actually through COVID there was a lot of that kind of remote, people working on stuff together, or separately, and sort of you do your bit, you do your bit, and sort of maybe I don't know how that worked, doing sessions over Zoom and stuff like that with lags and things like that. But I know there's a lot of things that were put together and recordings that came together through COVID, and people just, like you say, recording their bits in their own home studios or whatever, and then someone pulling it all together. That I suppose wasn't done so much before, because everyone would just get down into a studio together to do it. So I suppose it kind of triggered the ability to do that. And there's a couple of like horn sections that I know that do, who is it that do the remote horns? I'm thinking it's the Triple guys, but it might be someone else. So they'll do horn pieces for loads of different recordings and stuff like that. So
exactly that sort of thing.
There's actually some. Do you know the pianist Dan Tepfer?
I don't know.
He's a jazz pianist who does a variety, and he does a lot of classical as well. And over COVID, he made his own. He's like a bit of a programmer too. And over COVID, he made his own program, like Zoom essentially, but specifically for performing.
Right.
And it has he basically made it to have almost zero latency.
Almost.
But he does a bunch of performances with other people over Zoom, and they'll be doing stuff where the time really matters. Like if you're talking about feel, like time feel in jazz, or if I tried to do a duo gig over Zoom with Matt, if my time feel, if I'm trying to walk bass or something on the piano. But he seems to have made a software, so that I think has come a long way actually. I've never tried it, but he seems to say it's quite good. But I guess he did make it. So,
and how do you sort of see the split between the work that you do and sort of trying to get revenue and an income from it to live on, from sort of online stuff and digital stuff versus live?
I'd say that performances are still the main source of income for me. Recording is a part of it, but a smaller part. So performances are still the bread and butter, and then and also there's plenty of musicians that teach during the days as well. I do a bit of private trumpet teaching, because that's something stable and is there every week, whereas gigs can come loads in a bunch and then you'll have none for a bit, and it's a bit of a roller coaster ride as a freelance musician.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's quite it can be quite hard. I mean, I think once you break into the recording, getting paid for recording sessions scene, I think you can have quite a lot of work, but in my experience, it's quite hard to get into that. So every time I've gone in and done a recording, you're always viewing it as a privilege to do the recording, because we get to record our stuff. But I personally haven't had many situations where I get a call where it's like, hey, do you want to come do your recording? And I'm sending them my day rate and all this stuff. That seems and I haven't really spoken to many people who have done that.
I feel like because of all this evolving technology around AI as well, the online music seems to have become a bit strange maybe in the next few years. I feel like it's quite hard to stand out, maybe, or will be harder to stand out. There's a lot of noise about going back to the fact that in-person performances are your bread and butter. I think that what is going to be important in the next few years. Trying to find like local communities, being in person and present. And
I really, yeah, I really think that's a direction that's you know, I don't think it's going to be a huge thing, but I think it'll be a resurgence of live music, perhaps, you know, more than since COVID. I mean, you know, we can't sort of say, you know, COVID's the reason why no one's going, because it obviously everything stopped for about a year, realistically, maybe 2 years, before sort of places started getting back on their feet for live music. But yeah, it's in a. I don't know if you've seen the last Music Venue Trust report that came out. I think it was about a month ago, February, January, which they described as the least bad report of the last. You know, the sort of looking at the grassroots UK music scene.
Yeah.
And so, you know, in terms of sort of the net number of music venues that have closed was down considerably. You know, so I think it was single figures net number, which of course it's bad that it's down, but at the same time it's not. You know, it's slowing, and I think. But I think you're right, is that live music will be the differentiator between a lot of stuff. And the thing is, yeah, there's a lot of sort of people, you know, doing videos themselves that are really practice, rehearse, perfect kind of shredding and stuff like that. That's, you know, that's become the trend, the thing to do to get a following on social media. But at the same time, all of that content they're producing is sitting there, you know, being trolled by AI to be able to reproduce exactly that kind of, you know, so that very kind of clean, polished, unrealistic performance is on the one side, you know, what you're seeing on the screen, and then when you're in a venue and it's a band playing and there's a mistake happens or something like that, most people ain't going to notice a mistake anyway, apart from the people in the band probably.
Yeah.
But it kind of, you know, it's just, that's the reality of human performance. It's not always polished, but it's always, you know, it's always a connection. That I think will become more, and I hope as a live music promoter that's the direction that it's going in, and I'm stacking up the last few years to kind of hope that that's the direction it goes in. But yeah, no, it's cool to kind of get your perspectives, because it's very different, I think, you know, from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and the way that you would go into music and how you produce, you know, how you play it, how you perform it, how you produce it, and such like that. So always good to get your perspective. But anyway, we'll leave it there because you've got a rehearsal to get onto. But it's been fantastic talking to you. So yeah, this is Sungrass, and they shall be up at the Mars Bar on Thursday, the 12th of March. I have to think about dates. I'm always doing stuff where I get onto an interview where I've been handling other dates and bookings and stuff like that, and I have to remember. So, yes, Thursday the 12th of March, we're back at the Mars Bar, Sungrass. I'm really looking forward to having you guys come play for us. Thanks for your time today, and hope the rehearsal goes well.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers.